Well, this is probably the most dramatic news we've ever covered in our monthly pricing videos. Lots happening, including huge changes in the law and a new generation of super powerful 500 kilowatt 1000-volt chargers. They're coming out. Yeah, that's for you Kia, Hyundai and Porsche owners, arriving from as early as the next few months. So for the first time, we now include fossil fuel equivalents, so you discover how many equivalent miles per gallon you get at each of the charge point operators' charging networks that we feature. Is charging at Fastned cheaper than an equivalent petrol car? And how much better is their membership? Keep watching, there's lots to cover this month. I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On, and this is our monthly UK EV public charging price and power guide. Well, we're going to open with Gridserve, which is really going places and would probably be well up to the top of our list, if not for the price. Now, we do understand you've had a big investment and something called return on investment, but with many others offering up to 25% less than the 79p that you charge, not counting Tesla, which can be less than half, it is looking out of step in encouraging people to switch to EVs. 79 pence per kilowatt hour has definitely tipped over into the unacceptable bracket, being the equivalent of just 30 miles per gallon in petrol terms. If you drive a Range Rover and you only get 25 miles a gallon, this might look relatively good. But for all you others, this is expensive. A discount was offered back in the summer, but for the winter, got 5% on at the moment, but it looks like you're heading back up to full price. Really great news, the network is expanding rather faster than my waistline, being forced to eat all those cakes and donuts while I'm out filming. Their numbers now are very impressive, and they're now talking about opening up abroad, Europe. I would advise one word of caution: prices abroad are often a touch cheaper than here. And your loyal following here will not be happy at all if the foreigners get a cheaper rate from a British company. Just saying. I am seeing their new flagship ABB 360 kilowatt dual bay chargers with full AI computer control to manage the sharing more effectively. Now, I often film the car's charging at Gridserve locations. The main screen is absolutely big and bright and very informative. It's easy to just film it, but I've never seen anything like this before. Push Taycan peaking at 315 kilowatts charging. That is impressive, both for the charger and for the EV. I bet more of us would like to see this sort of speed. But more of us would definitely like to see it cheaper. Well, your facilities are spot on. Your hubs are brilliant. Operation, cleanliness, spot on. We just saw you up at Killington Lakes on the M6, up near the Lake District. New chargers being prepared. These are the new intelligent dual bay 360 kilowatt chargers. They're not yet operational. They're being painted, or the ground is being painted up now as of Tuesday. And they're running off a generator just to keep them ticking over with a battery backup. But it's getting closer. We're hoping probably before Christmas, if all goes well. We love your hubs, love the test drives they offer, love the leasing support. How about some membership, or at least peak and off-peak rates if you can't actually drop your prices? InstaVolt did it. It's also great to see the tie-up with lorries and HGV. Few people know that all commercial vehicles need to be EVs by 2045. Fossil fuels, they're on the way out. The writing's on the wall. Now, they claim they're one of the first. Probably not the first, but they're well up there amongst the leaders, certainly. It's also nice to find out so many companies operating fleets of lorries and HGVs that now include EVs of all sizes. Okay, we're on to Osprey, still growing, still instantly identified with their lovely colour scheme. Now a total of 1,200 chargers, many up around the 300 kilowatt, ideal for the 800 volt architecture EVs. Operation is smooth, payments easy, the app is really good with masses of information. Once again, severely let down by the price. As a general guide, charging all the time at 79p defeats much of the object of choosing an EV. Cheaper running costs. At 79p, most EVs will be running about 20 pence a mile. That's almost identical to a petrol car doing 30 miles a gallon. Cars are so much better and nicer to drive, better for the environment, obviously, but does little for your pocket. Complete the circle, drop your prices. We got a hint back in the summer, tiny little discount for a very brief period of time. How about a drop? And also look at memberships. You see, many of you are going to miss out here. Once they're signed up elsewhere and get used to their systems, they'll be harder to entice back to you. Supermarkets discovered this long time ago with 24-hour opening. The shopping made a loss overnight, but what it does, it helps retention of existing customers. They can go there anytime, and attracts new customers away from other supermarkets that didn't open 24 hours. Once hooked, they tend to stay. Lost forever. Their app's good. It's not brilliant, but it's solid with some simple but good advice about charging an EV. You can also find out how fast your car is likely to charge on different Osprey charger models. InstaVolt, little change. Once again, heading downhill surely but slowly. The first block is the chargers they choose, topping out maximum 160 kilowatts. But they are few and far between. Most are 50 or 100 kilowatt dual bay. Now, I do get into trouble for dismissing these, as many EVs cannot use more anyway, like the Mini Electric or GWM Aura 3. But an awful lot of people can, and many can happily use twice the power of even the most powerful. This poor choice of chargers means most will not even get round to looking at your price, but for those who do, you will pay 85 pence per kilowatt hour for the slowest speed charging you're likely to find. They proudly announce this is really easy to understand, no hidden extras like memberships, just a simple 85p. Just avoid it like the plague. There is no need to pay for this ever at this price. They advertise the largest network in the UK, but just dismiss it. The vast majority, still 50 kilowatt, dual bay, only some of them up to 100, handful 160. This is equivalent to a pitiful 28 miles per gallon in petrol jargon. More like the equivalent of filling up a petrol car at your motorway services petrol prices. High price, slow speed, why go there? Well, Fastned, a breath of fresh air at last. The only downside is there's so few of them. This is a Netherlands-based company, much bigger abroad than here. The first thing is the website bang up to date. It constantly changes, refreshes, but always with the same prominent colour scheme. The chargers, likewise, beautiful colour scheme, black, wood brown and yellow, very striking. Website and app offer a torrent of information, and the charging speed calculator is well worth a visit. If your car is charging slower than you hoped, this might be able to explain to you why. Well, the colour scheme often extends up to a proper canopy. It's one of the few that does. Now, I've used these in the sun in Oxford and the hailstone down in Cornwall. Canopies, I say, are a welcome feature. Chargers are generally very powerful, with many 300 kilowatt dual bay chargers dotted around. There are more than enough for most EVs. Now, the price is reasonably good, 69 pence on its own, equivalent of about 35 miles per gallon. But, of course, your local petrol station does not offer you a membership. Can you imagine if your local petrol station said, look, give us a tenner a month and we're going to drop the price of petrol per litre by 40p? You would see queues like all EV haters believe we have to put up with. That's exactly the deal that's offered to EV drivers. Forget 69p, pay 48. That's the fossil fuel equivalent of 50 mile per gallon for each subsequent charge, and 35 mile per gallon even for your first one with a month's membership included. So let's look at the simple maths. You go to charge up your EV and you're going to put in 50 kilowatt hours. On arrival, you can either pay nothing at all, charge it up, then pay £34.50 at the end. Or you can join as a member and pay £9.99 immediately as your month's membership. And then, at the end, you only pay £24. You save 51p. Big deal! But go back a week later, or a day, and you only pay £24 again. Same next week, and so on. One payment of £9.99 can give you a tiny saving. One charge a fortnight saves you over £12. One charge a week saves you over £42 each and every month. Charge just twice a month, and only a total numpty would not join. But I saved the best for last. I recently launched a video about Fastned Autocharge. This is where you download the free app and you use it for your first charge in the normal way. At the end, the charger screen will ask you, do you want to activate Autocharge? And if you say yes, by the way, double numpty if you say no, the computer saves you details. When you go back the next time, no messing about. You pull up, you open your charger port, you plug in, 2 seconds it goes, yep, I remember you, let's go. It charges. It's about as instant as you get. Now, let's see what we've got. Oh, checking ID, verification ID, CCR. Oh, how simple is that? Then when you finish charging, you remove the plug, you put it back in the charger. When you turn around, the screen's gone back to the home page. No paying. You don't need your app. You don't need a contactless card. The computer has remembered your card details and it simply applies the correct charge as you drive off. Could there be anything simpler and better? Let me know. I was so impressed. I'm used to Tesla charging. Now, Fastned, just build thousands more of them, please. Well, it seems to be the season for website updates. Ionity looks very different. The shame the prices don't. But here you need a double take. See, 74 pence is not good. That's less than 35 miles per gallon equivalent. But hold on. Remember the tenner a month I told you about with Fastned? Ionity have something similar. Well, they charge £10.50, but instead of sending the price down to 48p, it goes down to 43. And at that price, it's the same as 60 mile per gallon in your own fossil fuel jalopy. Who said an EV cannot work if you cannot charge at home? 1 charge a week on the Ionity Passport, which is what they call your membership, you'll pay 4 times 43 pence times 50 kilowatt hours, 86 quid, plus your £10.50, which, by the way, is also reduced in the first month to 7 quid. So you're going to pay £96.50 for the month, and that's equivalent over the whole month to 50 miles per gallon. Plus, they operate their own sort of autocharge. It's called plug and charge. It isn't. It works well, but it's only on some EVs, not on all locations. If you're lucky and you're near one, just treat it as a bonus. Well, the chargers are powerful, with most of them up at about 350 kilowatts, and most are also 1000 volt capable. And the new map is now fully interactive on the website. Give it a go, it's brilliant. They report 290 chargers in the UK. Yeah, this is another foreign CPO, based in Germany this time. This is a good CPO to choose if you can't charge at home. There's a bonus. If you buy or lease new, you will usually get some sort of deal with the EV from the manufacturer, and it is almost certain to be based on Ionity locations. Often you get something like 30 pence a kilowatt hour for the first year. That's equivalent to more than 80 miles per gallon. On some, it's even free. It depends what EV you choose. Shell Recharge, BP Pulse, I guess I have to mention them. Well, that's done. They're the dearest, poorest, maintained and most often broken of any charger network in my extensive experience. Others might find things better, but I'd rather push my EV to the next charger. Typically 85p, no frills or benefits. Westmorland charging. Now, I have included Westmorland before, but they are still a relative newcomer. You'll see much more of them in the future, and the near future at that. The Westmorland family are a farming family who own a number of motorway services, and after having an initial dabble with Gridserve and Tesla, they launched out onto their own. They've become their own CPO. So they now buy in chargers and they set their own prices, buy their own electricity. Price they set is 64 pence. That's the cheapest one mentioned in this video so far. It's the equivalent to about 40 miles per gallon. So far, no special offers or memberships, but there are rumblings underfoot here, so stranger things have happened. The chargers are Swalco units, powerful 250 kilowatt dual bay chargers, although I have to say Swalco's no longer. It has been rebranded to EVPoint. By the way, these have simply the hugest touchscreen displays in the country, possibly the world. 32-inch touchscreen displays. Westmorland Charging is making a great job of it, and they've recently won an award. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. There's going to be launching a new video shortly with all the details, well worth seeing, and also a sneak advance about a future motorway services that has just passed planning and will have, so I'm told, 99 chargers on that one site. Much more on that too in a future video. Well, if you like fast food outlets and sandwiches made in the factory and shrink wrapped to be heated up by microwave, keep well away. Their locations are not for you. They operate at Cairn Lodge, Scotland on the A74M, T-Bay on the M6 in the Lake District, Junction 38 truck stop for commercial drivers in Cumbria, Redhead Centre on the A66 near Kendal, and then Gloucester Services M5. There's no fast food or coffee here. It's all locally produced. People often travel here just for the meals. The food and the quality are so good. It's totally local, farmers, shops, artisan food, gifts, everything. In fact, I tried to get a can of Coke once, failed, didn't have one. Plenty of local alternatives though. Pies are made here locally. In fact, they are as much a local enterprise as a motorway services, and they've recently had a massive refurbishment on the northbound M6 site. And the southbound site is well underway and will be ready, they hope, probably around about Easter. They use their own EVPoint chargers at both, along with a Tesla supercharger exclusive to Tesla only. No, you don't need to sail on up the motorway to the next junction to come back. You can access the southbound supercharger from the northbound services, vice versa. Also, they might be getting addition of a solar PV farm and megapack batteries on the surrounding farmland, which they own. Almost as far as the eye can see. By the way, while prices for breakfast are indeed higher than at McDonald's, Jonas and I filmed here very recently, and we both had a breakfast. Total cost was roughly the same as a cellophane-wrapped all-day breakfast and a large cappuccino at a Costa. Okay, fairly small so far, but I do like their philosophy, their business model, and their plans. So keep your eye on this CPO. Well, Applegreen Electric, totally the opposite. These seem to have gone right off the boil recently. They arrived on the scene with a flourish and bought up a good number of motorway services and proceeded to install their own American-made chargers. Quite nice units, well made, and around 180 kilowatts, so quite hefty. But on a recent visit, I made the mistake of asking about the chargers and the car park. I was put well in my place. Applegreen Electric is not related to Applegreen Group, so they say. That's a very American group and very heavily into oil, petrol stations and motels. At least the directors of Applegreen Electric said so. It's just a coincidence some of them are or were also directors of Applegreen Group. Anyway, Applegreen chargers and motorway services are now one and the same. It's all just one group. It's all called Applegreen Electric. Very disappointing, 77 pence per kilowatt hour, 3 pence off if you use the app, but it will demand your marital status, your bank balance, your inside leg measurement before you can get your app approved. I gave up well before this. The only reason, in my opinion, for an EV charging company to need my date of birth, address, occupation, mother's maiden name is to sell it on to others and make money out of me, even if I never charge there. Could, of course, be wrong. Well, 77 pence is the equivalent of 30 miles per gallon in jungle juice, with which their estranged namesake is still actively and heavily involved. Others seem to be of a similar opinion, as I've been there quite often. I've never seen them even slightly utilised. Okay, quick group: Morrison's, Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, Lidl, Booths, any others you can think of. Supermarkets have been settling down to an absolute dog's dinner of complexity. See, supermarkets that bought their own land and built their own stores, they've been able to choose one brand of EV charger. They can buy it and they can work it, they can rent it out or whatever they like. Others are located on retail parks where an investment bank or finance group of some sort owns the park, the land, even the store, and they simply rent it out. So they can simply install whatever those owners prefer. Yet others, where an investment bank or fund has just bought some random land and built a supermarket and have a third alternative. Yeah, you're as likely to find Osprey as PodPoint as Tesla superchargers at Tesco and so on. Even Sainsbury's, which effectively became their CPO very recently, they can only do that on the stores that they actually own or control, which, believe it or not, is less than a third of them. Strange world. Well, they in some ways saw the potential of EV charging in the very early days, and they offered free EV charging while you shop. Although you'd have to walk very slowly with your trolley to get any decent charge, as most of them were just 7 kilowatts, giving you 10, 15, 20 mile range maximum per hour plugged in. Sorry, but all now seem to be circling the wagons, lifting up the drawbridge and offering expensive chargers in the hope that someone who's just got their first ever EV for Christmas plugs in while they shop. Not many do. Even by Boxing Day, these chargers are almost empty. Check out your local store. Remember, if they charge above 65 pence, you can do much better elsewhere. Only Aldi really deserves a mention, as some, and it's very few, some of the stores still offer to this day totally free charging. Well worth a visit if you can find one. Free EV charging is better than Tesco or Nectar points. Oh, by the way, Sainsbury's at some stores does offer Nectar points. EV on the move, that's also moving on the move. EVPoint it used to be, rebranded. They're expanding their reach as well. First, they have that huge illuminated sign at the motorway services, which shows the price of 65 pence well before you have to turn off onto the slip road. Greenie points for that. Both the sign and the price, that is, because 65 pence is 40 mile per gallon equivalent in dinosaur stew. Great locations, great price for an ultra-rapid EV charger, great facilities, and now even better as they have signed a deal with Tesla for the V4 chargers. The first of those are already operating around where I live. Little did they know at the time that the V4 chargers were about to have a huge upgrade just been announced. So keep watching this video to later where we cover that massive upgrade and we deal with Tesla chargers. EV on the move already installs specific drive-through bays, ideally suited to caravans, but also good for commercial vehicles. For these, the upgraded V4 chargers will be installed to deliver, wait for it, 1,200 kilowatt. But no, there won't be a CCS2 plug on the end of it, sorry. And no, nor is there an adapter. Nice thinking. Okay, we get round to Tesla. Tesla plods along, doing its thing with superchargers. They already have the largest ultra-rapid EV charger network in the whole world. And now with the V4 upgrade in 2025, more on that in a moment, they will also be the most powerful on the planet. How do they keep their prices so low? Oh yeah, they make their own chargers on mass production lines with the same efficiency and technology as their EVs. If you own a Tesla, their prices have increased slightly in recent months. They stand average of about 40 pence off peak and about 50 pence peak average, equivalent to over 55 or 50 miles an hour respectively. But the prices do vary location to location, and look out for some no-brainer bargains. Now the lowest rate we found this month was 24 pence. That, unfortunately, exclusive to Tesla owners. That's equivalent to 100 miles per gallon in dino juice. And it was 31 pence for non-Tesla, non-members, contactless, only arrive and charge. That's a mouthful to say. Equivalent to 75 miles per gallon. Who said if you can't charge at home, an EV is not possible? Charge at one of these super off-peak rates, superchargers, and it can work out half the price even of fast chargers. By the way, I did not invent the term fast chargers. They are anything but fast, but the terminology is now widespread. Tesla charger prices do vary, so check before you go there. Also check the time avoiding peak rates, where you'll pay much more and you're likely to find queues. Now, we're going to be launching a new video shortly showing all the popular public chargers when they're at their busy times to avoid and when they're at the quiet times to aim for. Many superchargers are designated as open to all CCS2 EVs, meaning non-Teslas, at very attractive rates. Check out our video link in the description down below on how to find and use Tesla superchargers that are open to all if you do not own a Tesla. All non-Teslas get very cheap rates, but the very cheapest rates require membership, $8.99 a month, and then you get an extra 20% off. Now, I have to say, beware, the law on public EV chargers changes on the 24th of November. It's next week. Before that date, Tesla V2 and V3 chargers are readily available for non-Teslas to use at open-to-all charger locations, but from Monday, the law as passed will not allow them to be classed as public chargers, and offered to the public due to a lack of contactless payment methods. These are likely to revert back to Tesla drivers exclusively, so if you've been using one, maybe Flint Mountain or Trafford Centre, there is a high chance you won't be allowed to after Monday, but fear not. They may get a special waiver for continued to allow them to continue operating. We don't know. In any case, many of these are likely to be upgraded to the V4 chargers and V4 cabinets. Yeah, we finally get there. This is simply dramatic news. The V4 chargers already fully capable of much more power than the cabinets currently supply them, which is 250 kilowatts at up to 500 volts. All Teslas take 400. These do have very much longer cables suitable for all EVs on the road today, no more taking up 2 bays. They also have a very good display screen to operate the charger and a contactless payment terminal, meaning no need for apps or memberships. However, the huge news is that from 2025 onwards, the installations will include V4 chargers connected to V4 cabinets. It was the V3 cabinets that restricted the output. So, huge news, the V4 chargers connected to V4 cabinets will be able to supply up to 500 kilowatts of power at up to 1,000 volts. 1,000 volts at 500 kilowatts. Absolutely perfect for Porsches, Lotuses, never know, Hyundai, Kia. If you want accurate up-to information about Tesla, the V4 cabinet, and which Tesla superchargers are and will remain open for non-Tesla EVs, please subscribe. Do it now so that we can notify you as we launch our Open to All update video on or immediately after the 24th. Well, BE.EV, finally mention goes out to them. It's a Manchester-based CPO. Got very big plans. They claim to be the fastest growing in the UK. They probably are, but it's from such a low start, it's not entirely unexpected. They install the beautiful Kempower units, as used by Osprey, really good uses, the 150 kilowatts for us 400 volt architecture EVs, 300 kilowatts for the 800 volt brigade, good beefy units, just look weird in green. Suppose we'll get used to it. Look out because they do still have a few of the older units down as low as 50 kilowatts. Suits many, not all. Pricing still gets me baffled, and I've commented on this in the past. Going to have a word with them very shortly, find out what's going on, but here goes. The older rapid chargers, 50 kilowatts, they're 55 pence off-peak as a member, 60 pence peak as a member, but 65 pence anytime as a non-member. But off-peak rates are not available at all their charger locations. Ultra Rapid, along similar lines, just a touch dearer, 65% off-peak member, 70 pence peak as a member, 75 pence anytime non-member. By the way, membership's free. Just register, use the app. Well, that's all for now, folks. Thanks for sticking with me. I realise this guide does not include all charger networks, CPOs, which a charge point operates, but if it did, it'd probably be 2 or 3 times as long. You'd never get to the end. The video covers the main ones, but we do feature the others in our regular videos throughout the month. EV charging is changing rapidly and looks totally different to when I got my first EV almost 5 years ago. I'm convinced the future holds many surprises. Just imagine if Alcock and Brown pilots back in 1903 said, hey, we only flew a few hundred feet, nobody's going to want that, let's pack it in. Instead, they had a vision. By 1914, at the start of the war, aircraft were flying further and faster. By 1950, we had the arrival of jet engines, leading to today, when hopping on a plane to the other side of the continent, or even the world, is commonplace. Where will EVs take us? Let me know your comments down below. I'm Dave. Thanks very much for watching, and definitely on this one, if you haven't yet subscribed, please click the subscribe button. Also give us a like, and if you would, give us a comment. What do you think's happening? Have you used these chargers? Which ones do you find the best? Do you have any problems? We welcome all comments, and we do go out and we film on a regular basis, and we try to find where people are having issues and see if we can help in any way to solve them. And if we can't, we'll always try and have a word with the manufacturer or the owner or the operator to see if we can get them to do something about it. If we don't do anything, just mumble and groan about how bad this experience was, it's never going to change. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. I'm Dave.